Okay, back with Eric and Paul. Eric, it's been said that there's just too many ways to interpret the Hebrew letters. What say you?
The Paleo-Hebrew letters are symbols that represent a meaning. Pictures, pictographs, hieroglyphics, that's just what they are. It's very similar to mathematics if you're doing algebra, where you use what they call variables. Typically, the most common variables are x, y, z, a, and b. And in mathematics, quite often they use a description by calling them the Greek names, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and so forth. The point is, the letters represent some meaning, and then you assign whatever meaning it is appropriate for the particular situation. So, for example, basket of fruit. If I have a set of variables and I say, this one represents an orange, this one a grapefruit, this one an apple, this one a strawberry, then no matter how I rearrange the variables, the thing I'm looking at is always going to be composed of those same ingredients like a fruit basket. So the spelling of words is we've got 22 letters. And whatever value we give those 22 letters, the words are simply going to be an amalgamation, a compound of those words in some assembly. So if you spell the word differently, it's like if I take a strawberry and an orange, okay, but if I turn it around, it's the same ingredients, but now this is like Kaf Lamed or Lamed Kaf. If I was to give the variables the description as if they were animals, this letter represents an ox, this letter represents a giraffe, this letter represents a monkey or an aardvark. Now we have that the words look like a zoo, an arrangement of the various animals. The poignant thing about the Mishkan pattern is that the value given the letters of the Hebrew alphabet are appropriated to the tabernacle, the Mishkan, which Moshe was told to build on earth exactly according to the pattern of the one he was shown in the heavens on Mount Sinai. So the letters Het, Tet, and Yod relate to the fence of the Mishkan. The letters Kaf and Lamed, as we were saying, well, that's the barbecue grill. It's like, what? An orange and a strawberry is a barbecue grill? What are you saying? You've heard such protests.
Now you're sounding like Michael Brown.
Well, he has a point. The interesting thing about what Michael Brown is saying, which I absolutely agree with, is that I believe that Daniel was told to hide the words and seal the book. Daniel 12:4, the archangel Gabriel empowered him, commanded him, authorized him, and said, okay, it is done. It is sealed up until the time of the awakening. Kufzadi can mean awakening, not just end. The point is, ever since those days of Daniel, the chief Chaldean of the Babylonian and Media-Persian empires, these words, these letters, have been composed of nothing but syllables of consonantal pronunciation. Each letter sounds like a consonant of phonetics. B, B, C is S, or G, D is D, E, F, F. That's all it is. Michael Brown is absolutely right. But before Daniel, which is the Paleo, every letter was a picture. And you can most certainly assemble the letters as pictures and see what's there. So for example, if Mem Nun represents the laver, the menorah would be the samech, the table of showbread the ayin, the altar of incense the pei, and the ark of the covenant the zadi. And then the pillar of fire and smoke, kind of like this chandelier above the Mishkan, is the letter kuf. And then outside the het, the place where the red heifer sacrifice was set, ordained, placed in order to cleanse those who were in contact with the dead so that they would be able to be cleansed to enter the Mishkan. Well, that's the place of Hey Vav Zion, behold this Vav, like a drawbridge over a moat, allowing someone to enter what was otherwise cut off. Anyway, that's the story of the Mishkan pattern. But the idea here is the simplicity of assigning a value to the letters and then reading the composition of words based on the value we give the letters as variables in a mathematical equation. So, not only are the letters appropriated to the Mishkan pattern with a particular meaning, but the Mishkan pattern is correlated to the 7 Moedim. In other words, Het Tet Yod, line up with a fence, that's the equivalent of Pesach, Passover. The barbecue grill, unleavened bread. The 50 days of counting is the Mem Nun of Shavuot. Yom Teruah, the day of blowing of trumpets, the Samach. Yom Kippur, the day of atonement, the letter Ayin. The letter Pei, Sukkot, the 7 days in the 7th month, between the 15th and 21st, and then the 22nd day, Shemini Atzeret, lining up with the letter Zadi. That's another value to give the letters. But then also the identity of the Mashiach, as in that TV show, To Tell the Truth. Will the real Messiah please stand up? The real Messiah, regardless of what name you assign him, the true identity of the Mashiach of Israel is correlated to these 22 letters. So the Aleph is the self-referential coming from the heavens to the earth. Gimel, the letter gimling, traveling, voyaging. Bet, incarnate form, voyaging to Dalet, the earth, reduced in value. Hey, appearing, Vav, the 6th letter, humankind, man, a connector. Zion, distinguished yet cut off. Het, thrown into a tomb. Tet, the round rock that was rolled in front of the tomb when Yeshua was crucified. Yod, the hand, the seal, the Roman seal, but yet by his hand he said, I have done this, accomplished this, locking him in the tomb. Then you have a picture of 3 days and 3 nights. Briefly, you got Kaf Lamed, 1 day, Mem Nun, a 3rd day, Samach Ayin Pei, a 3rd day, and then Zadi, sprouting back to life, a resurrection. Kuf, after Yeshua resurrected, 40 days later, he ascended up into the heavens, letter Kuf, and yet the Malach, the angel standing there as the disciples were gazing up, was like, what just happened? They say, hey, he's coming back the same way. So this letter Kuf also represents the gathering of the Zavot in heaven, the hosts, and coming back. A picture of him stepping down on the Mount of Olives. Resh, the exalted one in full blazing glory. Shin, the monogram symbol of El Shaddai, teeth and fire, the provider of all benefits. So when he comes back, he's saying he will deal with his adversaries and reward his adherents, those who are his followers, his Talmudim, his disciples, his taught ones. And then Tav accomplished this plan as it was the object, Aleph, to run this gamut, this 22-letter circuit route. So these 22 letters then assigned the value. If I assign the value of fruits, it looks like a fruit basket. If I assign the value of green herbs, it looks like a garden. If I assign the value of animals, it looks like a zoo. But if you assign each letter the value of a piece of the identity of who is the true Mashiach of Israel, it looks like Yahusha, the one who lived and walked the shores of Galilee 2,000 years ago, that when Pilate had him flogged, ripped apart, the crown of thorns, the robe put on him with the scepter in his hand, and said, behold this man. It's the equivalent of the letters Hey Vav Zion. Look, this distinguished one, we have adorned him with our Roman weapons, and now we will kill him, putting him to the crucifix and locking him in the tomb. There's Zion Het. So what I'm saying is, I can then read every Hebrew word where the letters are given the value of the identity of the Mashiach, and read the word as that composition of this is Yahusha, Some call him Yeshua. If you call him by the Greek name or English name, which I refrain from, it's because those names, some call him Yesu or Jesus, but those set up the mind of a whole different identity. Oh yes, he's the one who came and nailed the law to the cross, and he's the one who did away with the Moedim and the Sabbath day and said you can eat whatever you want. It sets up this mind of contradiction and confusion. But by leaving the letters assigned to a certain value, then I can open up any word here and say, why, here's the word Melachim, or the word Jeremiah. What does that mean? Yod, Resh, Mem, Yod, Hey. Yod, this hand that works. Resh, the head of it being exalted or made evident. Mem, water, a womb, a hidden place that something is going to come out, and what's going to come out? Yod, this hand, and Hey, revealed. Yah is to exist, so you could say he will, or Yod is a prefix, you could say the greatness which has been hidden will come out in due time like being birthed from the Mem. So I can say the true identity of the Messiah will be revealed in its time. That's Yirmiyahu. Or I can say the true identity of Israel, B'nai Yahweh, the son of Elohim, Israel, walking in the stature of the upright one, of the ennobled Resh, walking in the footsteps of Yahusha, the Mashiach, who walked and showed us the way and interpreted the words properly for us, that when Israel follows and walks in his footsteps, because he said, I only say the things I hear the Father saying, I only do the things I see the Father doing, and when we do the same, which is why we're talking about learning how to read Hebrew, so that we can think the thoughts and place our heart upon where his heart is, then we will rise to the stature of Reshmem. And what will be brought forth is the reality, the occasion, the Messianic era, which Yah has preordained should be manifest on the earth. That's Yirmiyah. That's another way to read Yod, Resh, Mem, Yod, Hey, and yet we just say, it means Jeremiah. What say you, Paul?
Well, Yeshua said, I'm the Aleph and the Tav. And this brings it to light, Eric, that every letter is a part of Yeshua's presence, being, dwelling place. He's wrapped up in the letters. You can see him in the letters. The letter shows his purpose. Let's get real with the letters.
Let's get real with the letters. That's another way of interpreting Jeremiah, because the reality is that these letters encode the identity of the Messiah, and to bring him to full face is the letter Resh. To bring it forth to the reality is the memming of Yod Hey. Let's get real with the letters and realize the true identity of the Mashiach, which has been squabbled about for at least the last 2,000 years, is found right here in the Hebrew letters. It's an interesting thing here, if you get the right picture. You know, the spectrum of light through the crystal illuminates as a rainbow. The same thing. The reason why we're making this big deal about this reading Hebrew is that if you read the letters in this particular light, the letters themselves are like these crystals. Yes, they're just drawings. Yes, they're just what looks like random shapes of squiggles, but they're not. They're exactly what Yahuwah himself designed. And through these letters, just like white light is a single sort of color, when you look at them through these letters, there's a full spectrum, which puts this beautiful display. And it's all the value that you give the letters. Like the fruit basket, like the herb garden, it's the Mishkan pattern, it's the covenant between Yahuwah and Israel. It's the story of the history of the family of Israel. There's this verse, I believe it's Isaiah 22:11, I think. It talks about being taken, that Yah will take us into the wilderness of the peoples and contend with us there face to face. The word midbar is wilderness, but dabar is word or speech or stipulations of the agreement.
Wow.
Midbar is a place then of speech, a place of speech, which is language, which is word. This book is a midbar. And he doesn't say nations, that's the English translation, it's ayin mem, and then the plural, yod mem. Ayin mem is people group, it can mean nation, but it's a family group. To take us to the wilderness of the nations and contend with us there face to face could be read, I will bring you to the language of the family, the clan of the confederated tribes of Israel. I will bring back the language by which we are all connected together, and there, face to face, I will, the word contend, engage us, sup with us, the marriage supper of the Lamb, to be invited. The word invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb, as in Revelation 19, the word invited is kuf resh aleph, kara. It's the exact same word that means learn how to read the scripture. To be invited to an occasion, an assembly, where you learn how to read the scripture. That's the same word as being invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb in Revelation 19. It's the exact same phrase. So what we're doing by discussing these matters is accomplishing not only the invitation of the marriage supper of the Lamb, but also regarding and speaking and communing with Yod He Vav He, our Elohim, face to face, panei panei, which is, again, the word panei is pei nun yod. Pei is mouth, nun is that which jumps out, and yod is possessive, it's mine, and yet it's also this hand that goes to work. So what is it? If you were going to look at a picture, Paul, think of this. Something that's in your mouth that jumps out, which is your very own, and causes something to happen. That's pei, the mouth that opens, nun jumps out, and then yod, it has an effect. It's yours, and it like a working hand, it causes something to happen. What does that sound like? What is it that jumps out of your mouth that then causes something to happen?
Creation.
Creation is the effect, but what is it that jumps out of your mouth?
Words.
Words! But it's translated the word face. So if we're contending with them face to face, we're speaking with them words to words.
Peg on peg.
Panei la panei.
Yeah. So, Daniel, in the wilderness of the book, hid.
It's that British thing. It always stumbles everybody, even you.
Absolutely. So, in the wilderness of the book, he's hid the book, or he's hid the words for us to see. When we see I always craved for a vision of the face of Jesus when I was a Christian. But now I crave to see the Yeshua, the Mashiach, in his word, in the Aleph Tav. So I read the traditional script, seeing the plan of the Father in my thinking. But the words were still wrapped up. I couldn't see what they meant. I tried to learn Hebrew. Not very illiterate, but I can see pictures. These pictures reveal attitude, the presence, the purpose of Yeshua. So I received what I thought was the totalness of the Ruach, but the Ruach is wrapped up, or the Mashiach is wrapped up in the alphabet. So now I can see him through the letters. How I arrange these letters, as you said, creates a picture. But the truth is left wrapped up in each letter, which are his pointers, or his revealers.
The interesting thing about your phrase, seeing the Mashiach in the letters, the word Mashiach is spelled mem, shin yod het, Mashiach, okay? The letter mem means the place of, or to put into some sort of object form, and the word shiach, shin yod het, literally means conversation or communication.
Yeah.
So literally, if you say, I will contend with you there face to face, or I will communicate there with you, the Mashiach literally means the communication made tangible. It's like if I talk to you about these phantom letters, shin yod het, and you go, what the heck? I don't know what are those? But if I say, here, these are tangible, these are the letters, And you go, oh, okay, I can see that, I can perceive, I can apprehend, I can wrap my mind around some aspect of this tangibility. So the word Mashiach doesn't just mean anointed, it can be read to mean the tangible conversation, which is to say, like in John 1, the Word made flesh. The word mush, mem sheen, mush, like Mashiach, is where we get the English word mushy, like something feels soft and mushy, like feeling as compared to something solid and rigid. So this word, this Hebrew alphabet, took on human form. That's Yeshua. The very alphabet is the 22 elements used to compose this entire instruction book. So these words in human form is the Mashiach, which is why if the guy JC or any other phantom Messiah would contradict these words, he has disqualified himself, invalidated himself from even being considered the Messiah, which is why, from what I understand, it's why the Jews do not accept Jesus Christ as the Messiah, because too many of his adherents, his followers, have corrupted and denied these words in his name by his Spirit.
They've changed it.
They changed it. You can't change it. So the true Yeshua, the true Mashiach, is the one who validates and confirms, validating every one of these words. That's the word Ashar, which is Aleph Shin Resh, and Yishar, which is Yod Shin Resh, as in the word Israel, Yod Shin Resh, Aleph Lamed, Ishar El, the straight, direct path confirming the authenticity and the truth of every word. That is the Mashiach of Israel. And that's why we go back to regard the instructions, the Moedim, what we should eat, what we should not eat, the way we should think, the way we should ponder his identity through these words. These words then are a conduit of relationship with him. With him, the Elohim of Israel, who promised to restore his people to his favor in the Messianic era, which I believe is the last 1,000 years that the earth will have as per Revelation 20.
Every letter has life in it. Every letter has substance in it.
How can anyone deny any one of those letters? But I'll tell you, the two letters that I see in the code representing the Sabbath day, the letter Zion, the seventh letter, and the letter Zadi representing the resurrection, and I could say the letter Zion represents the crucifixion of Yahusha, these two letters representing the Sabbath day, for anyone to change the day from the seventh day to the first day, thank you, Mr. Constantine, is to deny or invalidate or to remove these two testimonies, the crucifixion and the resurrection. The Sabbath day, the place of the red heifer sacrifice, and the letter Zadi, a picture of the Ark of the Covenant, Aaron's rod that budded, the symbol of the scepter of righteousness. Zadi means righteousness. These pictures associated with these two letters, when you change the Sabbath day, you have nulled and voided both the crucifixion and the resurrection.
And it takes his seal off of us. We're
That's
no
right.
longer sealed by...
He said the Sabbath day was the sign that he is our Elohim and we are his people.
Yeah.
That's the sign that the creator of the heavens and the earth associated with these two letters, the Zion and the Zadi. And for us to change them, in fact, those two letters are removed from the English alphabet. Of course, the Z sound was stuck at the very end, our letter Z or Z. It's out of sequence. He changed the pattern, which is why we don't regard and talk about the English and the Greek, is because it's a rearranged, disorganized letter sequence. It has to go back to the original format authorized from before Genesis 1, the Bereshit, the beginnings of the heavens and the earth were constructed according to the format of the 22 Hebrew letters. That's why we exalt and lift up and proclaim the Hebrew alphabet, because it's the Mashiach, because it's the covenant, because it's the truth.
Hallelujah.
Are you hungry, Aaron?
These words are great food. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be
shall
filled.
be filled.
Amen.
Hallelujah.